Hi there, it's Brian from Home Painters, and it's now our busy season. And so a lot of questions, a lot of customers come to me, they're getting other quotes and they're asking me questions about all these different situations. So I just want to shed some light on some of the experience that I've had working over 35 years in the industry. And so the first thing I do is whenever a customer wants to hire someone in particular, is I tell them, I warn them about a couple things just in general. And first thing you want to do, five top things I'm going to go down the list is how long has the company been operating? And that's a very important question. Not that just because they're a new company, they're not going to do well. It's just that the chances of it happening it's a higher risk. That's all you're doing is you're putting the chips more risky when it's not is company hasn't been around for a very long time. Then it's a higher risk. And how you can usually find that out is all you have to do is go on Google or on HomeStars or one of the review sites, Google their name, /reviews, and then look at the dates of when those reviews were posted. If the company, like everyone says, they've been painting for who knows what, 10 years plus, but how you really know is just go back to their first review and when it was posted. If it hadn't been posted, like let's say if they've been in business 10 years and you just saw something within the last 1 or 2 years, that was their first review, then the chances are they may have been painting that long, they just haven't been in business that long. So it's really important to make sure that they've been around for a long time, just because you're putting things in your favor in terms of making sure that company's been around is reputable. The second very important question is, do they have valid documents? And in other words, do they have workers' compensation, WSIB, as well as general liability insurance, criminal background checks, the whole gamut. You want to make sure they've been around, first thing, of course, and then you want to check their documents. And it's one thing to say they have WSIB or general liability insurance or criminal background checks, but you want to check their documents and ask them to send you them. And the reason being is because no one, first of all, WSIB needs to be renewed every quarter and sometimes every month, depending on how big a business they are. And if they haven't, then they won't be able to show a valid clearance certificate. Document for insurance is the same thing. That needs to be renewed every year. And if it doesn't show the current year, then of course it has been renewed. In which case you're very vulnerable. For example, if something were to go wrong, they were to damage your car, get paint on the carpet, whatever, there's no liability insurance. You're actually responsible as a homeowner. WSIB is even worse because if the contractor doesn't have WSIB coverage, then you as a homeowner are very liable and your insurance is liable, and you don't want to have those liabilities involved. So make sure they show their documents, master business license, their WSIB, which I just mentioned, as well as their liability insurance. And of course, criminal background checks is a bonus. If they've been around, they've got their background checks on their painters, especially if they're going inside your house, you want to make sure that you can trust them being inside your house. The third question I recommend to ask is, what experience do they have particular project? What I mean by that is a lot of painters, they might be really good with inside, but they're not experienced with outside, or they are not experienced with very difficult exteriors like a high house, like a third story house, or if it's brick staining, or if it's a niche product like brick staining or kitchen cabinet painting or flattening, popcorn ceilings, drywall plaster. Make sure they give you references and show you pictures of jobs they've done like that, because again, it's very vast, the different product lines, different service lines. You want to make sure that they're good at your product. Okay, interior and exterior are very broad categories, but you want to make sure that they're experienced. Ideally, if they've painted in the neighborhood, for example, if it's exterior job, you ask for some homes that they've done inside the neighborhood and go talk to the clients, or at least go look at them so you can get a better read on what kind of work they do. The fourth is kind of a bit of a curveball, is ask them what kind of payment methods they ask for when they book the job, and when they, like for example, if they take check, Visa, MasterCard, Amex, whatever. The more options, the more credible. And that's the truth of the matter. I've been in business for 35 years, and generally speaking, if they only take check or cash, I'm not saying automatically they're a shady company and they're not to be trusted, but your chances are less that they're going to, they're as reputable, and there's going to be any recourse should something go wrong. So as an added bonus, it's one thing to have check, Visa, MasterCard, even Amex, e-transfers, have all those options. The more options they have, the more credibility they should have with you, and the more chances that you're going to have recourse should something go wrong. As a bonus, if they're willing to even give you payment terms on something like, let's say, zero interest for a year, or even 3 or 4 months payment terms, post-dated checks, anything like that, a company in financial good stability will have those options for you. And if they do, you know that they're financially stable. They're not like trying to scrounge to find their next payroll, just to find money for the next payroll. Again, you want to be dealing with a company that's stable, secure, has good warranties, and then of course they'll take care of you and has that financial stability should something go wrong. And they're not like in that situation where they're just fighting to make every payroll. That's a really risky proposition for anyone in general. And for a typical paint job in Toronto is $5,000, $6,000. You want to make sure that you're dealing with a financially stable company. The last thing is, of course, references, which I already alluded to. Check their Google references. Also check on Homestars. Homestars is the biggest review company online. And if you check their Homestars, just Google Homestars, the name of the company, Home Painters Toronto, or whatever the name the company is, they should have some reviews. Even if they're bad reviews, and this is the thing, everyone has good and bad reviews. You want to check their bad ones. And the reason being, because every company has bad reviews, but you want to check how they deal with the bad reviews. Are they defensive? Do they blame it on the customer? Do they run from them? Do they even answer them? Do they address it? Do they take responsibility? And do they take accountability? No one's perfect, let's face it. It's an imperfect world, but do they take accountability for it? And are they willing to fix it? And are they willing to reach out to the customer and say, please call me. I didn't know that happened. Please let me fix it for you. And if they're that kind of a company, let's sort of put it this way. If the worst case scenario were to happen, it's probably happened online. And if that's the kind of company you want to deal with, like let's say if they're defensive and they say, no, it was your fault, and they refuse to take accountability, is that the kind of company you want to work with? Or for example, if they don't even answer their bad reviews and they only answer the good ones, so is that the kind of company you want to deal with? So again, everyone has good and bad reviews, but you want to make sure that they're accountable, they're responsible, they take onus, they take responsibility, accountability when there's a problem, and they're always willing to reach out to the client under any circumstances and try to work something out. To me, everything's two-way street. So yeah, again, like I said, are they accountable, and do they respond appropriately to adversity? And that to me is the sign of a great company versus a good company. So hopefully those 5 reasons helped you. Again, there's no perfect world, but those are just 5 tips on what you can use to put the chips in your side and make the odds go on your side that you're hiring a good, reputable company. Hopefully that was helpful. If it was, feel free to give us a call, 416-494-9095, or you can always reach us at sales@homepainterstoronto.com. Hopefully that was helpful, and I would love to hear from you. Have a great day.